Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Jeff Culbert coming to you from Schooley's Mountain Chiropractic Center. The blessings that we have here today is that it is an absolutely gorgeous fall-like day here in Hackettstown, New Jersey. For those people that are old enough to remember the expression that this is technically still the dog days of summer, where when I and Al were a kid, we remembered those as the three H's: hazy, hot, and humid. And for whatever reason, right now, New Jersey has been blessed not only having had a very, very hot and dry July, but we've actually had some rain in the area, and the temperatures right now are about 59, 60 degrees this morning. It is absolutely gorgeous. So with that all being said, today's interview, we're going to be interviewing a patient of ours. His name is Al, and Al's been a patient for a very long time. In fact, my son and Al's son played ball together when they were probably about third grade?
Yeah.
Something like that. So my son is now 31, so third grade is typically 7 or 8. So Al and I have known each other for at least a good 22, 23, 24 years.
At least, yeah.
And Al has been a patient here in the practice on and off. And he comes in for a little while, gets some care, and then life separates us. I guess it's serendipity that we might call it. Our paths keep crossing in a very beneficial way for both of us. Al has a background that, believe it or not, Al is 84 years old, and this is probably one of the most vitally active, spiritually happy, centered individuals that I have ever met. Anytime I see Al's name has been added onto the practice, I know myself I'm going to benefit just from him being in the presence of the practice. And I'm hoping that when we're doing our interview today, he'll convey to you the same sense of feeling of peace, calm, and utter joy that seems to surround this man. He has a purpose in life. He has a mission in life. And at the age of 84, I would say it's safe to say you are still going as strong as ever.
Absolutely.
You know, and it is just a pleasure to see an individual who has adopted literally all of the life principles that we talk about in chiropractic. And again, we have on our wall that chiropractic is not just a treatment program, but it is a lifestyle that if one adopts can add literally years to your life and life to your years. And I think Al is a perfect example of that. So thank you so much, Al, for coming down today.
My pleasure.
And spending a little bit of time with us. Why don't we start off a little bit by you just telling everybody a little bit of a background of you and a little bit of your journey, and maybe about how you found Schooley's Mountain Chiropractic Center.
Oh my goodness.
I know we're going way back into the memory cells with this one.
Yeah, I can't even remember how I found you, but it was certainly divine intervention.
Absolutely.
I was supposed to be here. Yeah. And it's been a very positive experience for me. Like you said, I disappear and I come back. I can tell when my body is out of sync, not being able to sleep at night, waking up with aches and pains in the morning. Coming here is a blessing because in just a few treatments, my body's, again, synchronized, and I can go out and do the things that I enjoy doing without pain.
That's amazing because you know, one of the principles and concepts of chiropractic is the body is supposed to be self-healing and self-regulating. Mm-hmm. And as long as there's no interference, okay, in chiropractic terms, we call that the bones being subluxated out of place. Mm-hmm. But at a much deeper level, it comes to what triggers those bones from moving out of place. I call the body as like circuit breaker, and your circuits are being thrown and being shut off. And ultimately what that comes down to is some level of stress, whether that's a physical stress, emotional stress, or a biochemical stress. Something overloads your system so that those circuit breakers are tripping.
And it's interesting that you should say that because I think when that circuit breaker does trip, I can sense the discomfort.
And that was going to be my point, is that you're so in tune with your body, you know when a circuit breaker has been overloaded.
Yeah.
And you know where you have to go, like we would call an electrician.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to think that chiropractic is the electrician that it starts to rewire your body by just simply moving the vertebra, or in our case, we are full body adjusters here. So if there's a knee that's out or a foot that's out, I know that that knee or foot being out is eventually going to influence what goes on to your pelvis, and then eventually trigger something up the spine that's going to be misfiring. And to the degree that we can get those circuit breakers fixed and wanting to stay fixed is the important thing, is a blessing for what I get to do as an extension of my faith and belief that the body does heal from above down and from the inside out, as opposed to the typical allopathic medicine model of we've got to figure out what the problem is and then just give you a pill, potion, lotion, or do some kind of surgery to correct and remedy that problem.
Yeah, and to that point, there is a body-mind combination that is connected, and the test of that, anyone that experiences a momentary stress, maybe it's a disagreement with someone or they've overworked, if you're tuned in, you can feel your body tensing up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what triggers that fight, fright, or flight response, you will ultimately get into it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we live in a world today, and I think you would totally agree, that it does not allow us, like when you and I were kids, we had downtime, we had playtime, we had fun time. We were not connected to the whole entire world 24/7, 365. So our brains were typically not as nearly as overloaded as people walk around today with an overloaded brain, creating that internal stress and strife to keep their body in that fight, fright, or flight mode.
Yeah. Well, to that point, I've lived my life within the context that every event is a neutral event. It really doesn't have any value until I give it value by saying it's a problem. And if I say it's a problem, I become a victim of it.
Correct.
I could define it as a challenge and put a lot of time and energy into it, maybe be successful, maybe not, but typically exhausted at the end of that journey. And the third option, from my perspective, is seeing everything as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
For personal growth.
Absolutely. I totally 100% agree. I was in a seminar probably about 35 years ago, and a gentleman made a comment that has really been, again, as to you're saying, a motivating factor in my life. Nothing, but absolutely nothing, has any meaning than the meaning that you choose to give it.
Yep.
So again, and it came through when we had 9/11 that occurred, and everybody that day, on that Tuesday at 9/11, was walking around in a panic, and what are we going to do? It's literally the end of the world. And I challenged my staff with that. I said, you know what, the world is in panic and crisis mode right now, and I know you guys want to go in panic mode, shut yourself down in your house, be with your family, not be engaged and involved in the world. My comment to them was, how does that serve us and humanity? Okay, you have a choice. I'm going to give you a choice. I am going to be in this office, and I will take care of anybody and everybody who comes in that day. Okay, you can choose to stay at home, or you can choose to be here.
Yes.
I had every single staff member come in, and on that day, not one patient canceled, everybody showed up. Because we were here to serve and serve a higher purpose. That day I would go around. I remember going to the gas station down the road when it was the Exxon station, and the gentleman filled me up. I said, have a great day. And he said, how can you possibly have a great day on a day like today, 9/11? And I looked at him and I said, if I don't have a great day and you don't have a great day, they win.
Exactly.
I'm not willing to let them win.
I agree with you.
Okay, so it is, again, just a testimony to the brain is an amazingly powerful tool. And God blessed us with a brain so that we can make choices. And by the power of the Holy Spirit, we get to move on those choices. And whether we choose to move or not move, we choose to use our brain to create or retract, is totally up to us. I mean, Eleanor Roosevelt did say it best. Nobody can make you feel inferior about yourself without first your permission.
Oh, I agree with that. It's interesting that you bring that up. Again, one of my life principles is that we always have a choice. We look at the options, we make a decision to choose X, Y, and Z. And it's so easy to go down the negative side.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
it's more of an opportunity. I believe that these events that come into our lives are tests from the divine. Are you going to trust or you're going to go into that fear mode. You're going to worry, and my feeling is, if I'm not going to care 400 years from now, why worry now?
Exactly. Exactly. They're talking about stress and anxiety. You know, I think statistics bear out 96% of the things we worry about never, ever, ever happen. Of the 4% that is less, okay, 2% doesn't turn out how we feared it was going to turn out.
Right.
So there's only 2% of the stuff we worry about that we ever really have to worry about. And it's just a matter of deciphering what is that is that 2%.
Yeah.
And if we can figure that out, our lives become so much freer.
I know. I had a coach many years ago, and he left me with something that I've never forgotten. He said, worrying is like getting your bicycle, putting it on cement blocks, pedaling as hard as you can, and worrying why you're not getting anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you are 84 years old.
Well, in December I'll be 84.
Okay, so close enough.
Yeah.
You know, once you cross that halfway point in the year,
You're there.
you're really there.
Right.
Okay, so you're 84 in December. And like I said, you are probably one of the most vitalistic, vitally charged individuals that I know. In chiropractic, we talk about a number of principles, and most of our videos interrelate these a little bit. So if I ask you, okay, and I'll just run through the principles, and just let us know and the audience know, to what degree do you pay attention to these?
Okay.
Okay, so, you know, chiropractic principle number 1 is that of motion. I love my patients to be moving, because a body that is in motion heals faster than a body that is not in motion. We talk about nutrition. You know, there's an expression in computers, and I know you're big into computers. I mean, you are more computer savvy than I will ever be. But in computers...
I don't know about that.
Okay. But there's an expression in computers, GIGO, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So again, we talk about nutrition with the body and really trying to fuel the body with good, wholesome, nutritious food. And again, in this day and age, we don't have that. I mean, the food industry is one of the trillion-dollar industries that if you read the book, The Wellness Revolution, the next trillion-dollar industry. They've got the food industry, the insurance industry, the medical profession, and the insurance industry all conspiring to keep us ill and make us stay ill, so that those 4 industries make trillions and trillions of dollars. So nutrition being so sound, to having, like Hippocrates said, let food be your medicine. We also talk about sleep, quality and quantity of sleep. That it's the depth of deep sleep and our ability to get into dream state, REM, that allows us to produce growth hormone. For us, that allows our bodies not to get big, strong, and tall, but the growth hormone we produce to have healing abilities for our body and allow our bodies to heal. And the biggest portion of our ability to rest is sleep. We talk about posture, we talk about attitude, and I think everybody is starting to see how exemplary your attitude is on a lot of scales. But to that degree, we also talk why laughter is so important. And then we touch base on constantly learning, trying to be spiritually connected, and not necessarily spiritually connected where you're running to a church just to go to church, but being spiritually connected to be a higher purpose. And what do you have to do to give back to others, so that along while you're being blessed on your journey, you know, it's, you know, I talk about a lot when I do Spartan races or Tough Mudders. And Tough Mudders concept is you're going to be hitting challenges with life all the time. And you're going to find a way to either overcome, or you're going to need the help of somebody else to push you over or pull you over. And it's incumbent upon you that when you see somebody else that is stuck and struggling, how do you push them over the obstacle or the challenge, or how do you pull them along until they're able to manage and get it done themselves? And then I'd like you to touch base a little bit on the consistency and regularity of how chiropractic care has made a difference with balancing, like we talked in the beginning, resetting those circuit breakers. So how do you start to incorporate, you know, a little bit of all of those into your lifestyle, especially let's start with exercise?
Well, I'm still trying to remember the first topic.
Exercise.
That was a lot.
Okay. And I'll help you along the way.
Okay. That is one of the areas that I have to work on as a daily discipline. I do keep active. For example, right now I've taken all the cabinet doors off the kitchen and I'm refinishing the cabinets, and for me, getting into the physical aspects of doing that, I find very energizing. And it's a great distraction from other things that I do. Because like you said, I spend most of my time on my computer designing training programs for people. And let's see, that was the physical exercise part. I do walk. I walk our dog Dexter every day.
Great.
And he and I enjoy that. He's kind of old now. He can walk a mile in an area of 10 by 12 because he doesn't see too well. But we do walk.
Good. So you lead him versus him leading you.
Exactly. And from a nutrition standpoint, that's something that's really important to me. I do not eat what people consider to be junk food. I'm very conscious about what I eat. Vegetables, fruits, protein are part of my diet every day. And I think the biggest thing for me is attitude towards life. The reason I keep doing what I do is because I believe that life has a purpose, and if you don't have a purpose, what are you doing?
Exactly.
You're the walking dead, so to speak.
I love the way you throw in attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, not too long ago, I had seen an interview of the oldest woman who has lived in the 21st century. And I would have loved to have met her. I would have really loved to have her be my grandmother or my great-grandmother, because during the interview, you just get the sense that this woman at 123 was one of the biggest hoots, and I mean that in a very respectful and loving way. And her comment was, my lifestyle had nothing to do with how I lived my life, but had everything to do with my attitude. Okay, and she was commented of saying that I was smoking until I was 117.
Wow.
Okay, and I was drinking until I was 120. Now, those are vices that we obviously say are not necessarily great.
Right.
But when you think she lived to 117 smoking and 120 drinking, and then within 3 years she was gone. Okay, maybe she should have kept doing those. I'm only teasing. Her main comment was it had everything to do with my attitude. And she goes, it was my job every morning to wake up laughing. And it was my job every evening to go to bed laughing. And then it was my purpose to try to laugh as often as I possibly could between those two events. And you and I are old enough to know the expression that laughter is
It's best medicine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you hit on the component of attitude, it is so important, because people just walk around, you're old enough, you remember Lucille Ball.
Yep.
And you remember the movie she did in the 1970s called Mame?
I believe so.
Okay, it was a remake of Rosalind Russell's.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So she's there in the movie, and she's talking to her nephew Patrick, who the parents of Patrick passed away in an accident, so she became the guardian. And she tells Patrick that life is a banquet, and most poor bastards are starving. Okay?
I like
So
that.
that line has stuck with me my entire life. And then you get this 123-year-old woman that it comes down to laughter. And who was the gentleman who had cancer, who wrote the book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, that basically beat cancer, not by medical treatment, but by a program of laughing every day. So it comes down to attitude. I so love that you've got, and again, when you walk into the office, I know everybody here in the office knows you're here.
Wow.
Because it just changes the atmosphere in the practice.
Well, thank you.
We do have a concept in the office that it is my job, my staff's job, and to whatever degree, we see that patients influence other patients by a comment, by a look, by a word, by a touch. It is our job to make somebody laugh, smile, or giggle before they get their adjustment. For the simple purpose is that Tony Robbins taught years ago that you can be tense, You can be relaxed. You cannot be tense and relaxed at the same time.
That's true.
So if I make you laugh or smile, my staff engages you and you're giggling or chuckling with them, you're interacting with another patient that leads to a laugh or a smile. Your tension in your body that you're bringing in from the outside world just disappears, which makes my job adjusting your spine without the tension in it so much easier. Okay, that, I've been doing this now for 39 years. If somebody can be relaxed, way better results than if somebody stays tense. Now, we've touched base on some exercise and activity and how that releases endorphins and kephalines, and you feel great from that. We've touched base on your nutrition, that you're putting great building blocks in, so you're getting great healing coming out, that your attitude is exemplary. Tell us a little bit about your sleep and your patternings of sleep, and what you do to get a great night's sleep, and how that helps.
You may not approve of this. My mind is constantly going. When I go to bed at night, I'm looking forward to getting up the next morning because of the things that I want.
Oh gosh, yeah, you have but again, rest is that component of recharge. And there are statistics out there that when Edison invented the light bulb, and he invented the light bulb, one of his main purposes, they say, is because he thought humans were too lazy. And instead of sleeping 8, 9, 10 hours, because the average person when Edison invented the light bulb was sleeping roughly 9 hours and 15 minutes a day. So we get the light bulb, and we're supposed to go 8, 8, and 8. And since he's invented the light bulb, the average person is getting about 6 hours of sleep a day. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger always says sleep faster. That's not necessarily the case. We as human beings do require a quantity of time and a quality to our sleep so that we can be healing by producing growth hormone. We are not getting REM sleep, which is our dream state, and we're not getting deep sleep. We are not producing growth hormone for tissue healing and repair. Studies will show that somewhere around 8 to 8 hours and 15 minutes is our sweet spot. And the average person is really happy if we can get 7 hours of sleep. But if 8 to 8:15 is our real human sweet spot, then we have to figure out, even if you're getting an hour less at 7, I'm getting 7, that's the bare minimum, I'm getting 7. But you're really, in reality, slipping an hour into sleep deprivation. Now you do that daily over a lifetime. If somebody does that, that's 365 hours of sleep deprivation at the end of a year. Now let's say you get 7 hours during the week, and over the weekend, you're going to try to catch up by sleeping an extra hour. You're still 5 hours behind.
That's an interesting concept.
So
I never
again,
thought of it that way.
They also say that Alzheimer's is diabetes of the brain, which can be induced by way less sleep. And that if you're averaging as little as 5 hours of sleep, 5 days in a row, you are technically pre-diabetic. So sleep gets to be a really important component. And I have no problem that you want to get up the next morning and get going. But, humans, as a rule, throughout history, have been first and second sleepers. Which means...
How do you define that?
You go to bed, and you sleep for a number of hours. And then the human nervous system was set in prehistoric and safety in a home, doors locked type of situation. You would be getting up in the middle of the night to make sure the fire's still going, the environment around you is still safe, there's no wild animals that are coming in to attack and rip you to pieces. So that was first sleep. Then you have a break, typically anywhere for 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, to make sure your environment is safe. And in medieval days, people would literally get up out of bed, do their chores, and if they weren't, if they still weren't ready, they would go down the road and they would help people with their chores, come back, go to bed, and then wake up later. So this is the patterning of what it is to be a human. First sleep, break, second sleep. Now we have grown up in a world that says 8 hours straight. We've tended to shut off, especially during our working years, the ability to go through first and second sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, once they retire, end up back in the habit and the pattern of first and second sleep cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you how many people from Heath Village and some of my more senior groups come in, Doc, I can't sleep. I would give anything to sleep straight through. And my point to them is, genetically you're programmed not to. And you're at a point in your life now where it's not being forced on you to go 8 hours, to get 8 hours of play, to get 8 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
that is the typical patterning. So if you're in a pattern of, I sleep intently, I get up with a thought and I'm jotting something down for what I've got to do on my computer for my business programs the next day, and then going back to sleep, you are absolutely in a normal pattern. And the key incumbent thing is, and the reason why I monitor with an Aura ring and a Whoop band is, am I getting my deep sleep and am I getting my REM sleep?
Mm-hmm.
And if I am in the realm of norms for those, I am completely happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know, okay, I've monitored myself and I got 7 hours of sleep. I fell within the realm of deep and REM, so I'm doing okay. I've got my sleep score, typically around 78 to 94.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm getting quality and quantity of sleep, but if I haven't gotten the full 8 hours, I look forward to a nap. And everybody looks at me and goes, you take a nap? I said, absolutely. I love a nap. And if you want to call me European, I'm European because I like my nap. It's my siesta time to recharge for the second half of the day.
Uh-huh.
So if we are supposed to be engaging, or like the ancient Spartans used to do. I learned this when I was working out one day. Spartans, one of the strongest, most fierce people on the planet, worked and trained in what are known as Pomodoros. 25 minutes of intense activity, 5-minute break. 25 minutes intense activity, 5-minute break. 25 minutes intense activity, 30-minute break. So if they're working in patterns of activity, rest, activity, rest, activity, rest, it's incumbent upon us to do the same thing with everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
You can go an hour, and then what do I ask you to do when you're on the computer? Got to take a break.
Right.
Okay, you want to go 5, 6, 7 hours, but you know that you have come to experience that there's a price for pay.
That's right.
When you are not taking those micro, macro, and mini breaks so that you can recharge, give your body that break. So again, in terms of your sleep patterning, if you're getting that first, second, in between, be productive, because I know your life is all about productivity. It is not just sitting there going, oh, when am I going to go back to sleep? I'm staring at the ceiling. Now I can hear my wife snoring. Now I really don't want to go back to bed. It's okay. If you have to get up, engage,
Mm-hmm.
and then disengage and come back and rest.
Okay. Well, you make me feel a little bit better about my sleep habits because I don't have a regular, I have to go to bed at 10, I have to get up at 6. I also take a nap during the day.
You're so European.
But I do have a technique. The television puts me to sleep.
Oh, dead noise. I get it.
It's-
That little white noise that puts a baby to sleep.
Yeah.
This is the same principle.
Yeah, it's a distraction.
Okay.
I can lie in bed and my mind is going about different things that I'm thinking about. But I put the TV on, it's a total distraction, and within 10 minutes I'm asleep.
Now, hopefully, your TV's on a timer.
It is on a timer.
Okay. And it
is.
turns itself off,
It
so you don't
does.
have that noise and that light constantly coming in.
Right.
Okay, because I am a huge proponent of your subconscious mind is taking stuff in,
Mhm.
even when you're unconscious. And if
Yeah.
you've got something on that you put on, and it all of a sudden morphs from something that is totally relaxing, that's zoning you into a Zen state to get to sleep, and that program ends, and then comes on death, destruction, and mayhem.
Yeah.
And it's not the best thing to be getting into your subconscious mind.
Right, I agree.
So,
I'll take a nap in the afternoon. I'll be outside on the deck, and I'll just take a nap in the chair for a half hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're getting your vitamin D.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, you're helping your immune system. You're strengthening your bones with better calcium absorption from the vitamin D. You're taking that little mini break that is going to recharge your mind and your body and your spirit to be more actively engaged in getting things done to a higher level of degree than you possibly could. And I can't fault you for that. Okay, and I'm going to get the same person who got us into this cycle of 8 hours, Thomas Edison. Again, the guy was one of the greatest minds that we've ever had. He would go 20 hours straight and then take 4 hours to nap and then take cat naps throughout the course of the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You know, so as long as you are in that state of REM, okay, and deep, no problem with how you get the rest of your time, okay? But again, it is that REM and that deep sleep that triggers the growth hormone for healing and repair.
Yeah.
And you found your rhythm.
Yeah, I'm curious as to whether during COVID, people gravitated more to their natural sleeping patterns because they were working from home rather than
That I don't know. It'd be an interesting thing to try to look into.
Yeah.
But the problem was people were still working. And they weren't in that retired state of I can get to do what I want to do, when I want to do, when I want to do it, where I want to do it, with whomever I want to do it, as often as I want to do it. You know, a slang for a state of true health and well-being. And let's face it, during COVID, it was not a state of true health and well-being.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, you know, this as I'm listening to you, my mind is also going. I had a conversation with my cousin the other day, and I was on the phone for 25 minutes and I never said a word. And the entire topic was about her childhood and how she was a victim. And she was reliving the past.
Absolutely.
All over again.
I hear that from so many people.
Yeah. And I had to stop her. And I said, you know, we live in the present moment physiologically. Mentally, many people live in the past as they're living in the present moment. And
Correct.
they just relive the past,
And
or
all-
they worry about the future and they don't enjoy the moment. And I said, you know, everybody's got a story. I've never met anyone that doesn't have a story, and typically they're negative. I said, but the key is to recognize you're living in the present moment and you're creating a new story. And that's the way you live your life. Make
Absolutely.
every day a great and memorable day. In the fall, I'll be a substitute teacher. I love being with these young minds, and I will go into the room and I'll write on the board, what are you doing today to make it a great, memorable day? And I've had students say, well, people say have a nice day. Why do you say that? Make it a great, memorable day. I said, well, you'll go through the day and you'll have enjoyable moments. But if you're consciously looking at an event and you're turning it into an opportunity for growth for yourself and whoever you're with, you're going to have an encyclopedia filled with wonderful moments.
Absolutely. So you and I have known each other long enough, and we've talked about some of our practices, and I start my day every day with an affirmation. Okay, and again, getting into this great and memorable day. So if I can share with you, we'll share with the audience. Today is a great day, and I have the opportunity to show up as the best me ever.
Exactly.
I am an irresistible magnet with the absolute ability to attract all the right people, places, and things necessary for me to manifest the career and lifestyle of my dreams. You know, I'm part of a B&I business networking group, and whenever I get up to do my 60-second commercial to tell a little bit about what we're looking for in the practice and what we do chiropractically, you know, it's a Thursday morning and it's really early, and I will start with the group before I do my 60 seconds. Today is, and 25, 30 people all know to chime in. It's a great day. And it's just, again, a different way of saying that I can be stuck in the past, okay, or I can be worried about the future, or I can focus on what I'm doing right now, and today is great.
That's right.
You know, and we had a patient years ago, and everybody knows his movie, okay, because this was an actor. And he happened to play Master Oogway in the movie Kung Fu Panda.
Oh,
Okay, so he's the voice of this ancient turtle who comes up with kung fu. And in there, he's quoting to, what is the panda's name? Poe, this line: "The past is history. The future is a mystery. But today we're living in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And it is called the present because it is a gift.
Yes.
And if we have each and every moment that we are present," and again, you may know the name Dan Millman, okay, did a great stuff with The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, okay, and he did a book called No Ordinary Moments. And in this, that there is no ordinary moment. I get emotional with this. And somewhere in the book, he describes what is going on with what you would tend to think is a major athletic event, like a superstar athlete getting ready to perform in the Olympics. And what it comes down to is a father and a mother observing their little baby taking its first steps. No ordinary moments. Okay, so again, just different things that I know you and I have been exposed to that just sets us apart from knowing that every moment is a gift, and to waste it on anything other than joy, love, and anticipation does get to be a very big waste of our time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And unfortunately, there are people that do not understand that concept, that gravitate towards being the victim, having someone feel sorry for them, and that's their payoff.
Right.
And it's a very tragic way.
Right. You get to be, what's the word that they use for that? You enable, that's the word.
Yeah.
You're an enabler to that behavior, and you really want to snap them out of it.
Yeah.
You know, to whatever degree you can. So now we've touched base on a lot of things: exercise, nutrition, a little bit of sleep, attitude. What do you notice about when you get adjusted? You know, a lot of people have a woman in right now when we're working on her sinuses, and one of her concept is, I never knew my jaw and my mouth were supposed to be moving the way they are right now. So after you get adjusted, what's the body sense that you come away with? You know, posture, feeling, energy, attitude.
It's not like turning on a light switch and turning it off again after the adjustment.
You're a dimmer switch then, guy.
I'm sorry, what?
You're like a dimmer switch.
Yeah.
It's not on off. It's like,
Yeah.
what's the level of intensity that's going to come up right now?
It kind of builds. I remember when I came back in for the first treatment a few weeks ago, I was in constant pain. And I didn't know why I was in constant pain, but I was in constant pain. And it had to have built over a period of time without me noticing it.
Correct.
So now I come in for a chiropractic treatment, and I leave, and then I come back, and then I leave, and then I start to notice a shift, less pain, more energy. Like right now, I'm taking cabinet doors down, and I'm sanding them, I'm painting them, and I'm going through the physical exercise, and it actually energizes me. And it starts here. You know, I had some surgeries that were very successful, but I know that it had an effect on my body and on my mind. And even with my positive attitude, my body was still reacting. So it's like I go into the body shop,
Okay.
so to speak, you know, and you know, all the dents and scratches are taken off. And then you drive out, and people start saying, "Hey, you know, that car looks pretty good now." You know?
Exactly what goes on. Boy, at 84, you look so good.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of attitude, and I will not hang around with negative people. And just, you know, for the people that are watching this, if you ever get on the phone with someone that's ranting and complaining and nagging, and just you're miserable just listening to them, wait for your opportunity to talk, and as you're talking, hang up, because no one would ever believe that you would hang up while you were talking.
Oh, that's true.
You know,
That's true.
the adjustments are really, really great. I feel I feel really, really good when I leave here, physically and mentally. And it's kind of like there are blockages, and then the blockages are unblocked, and then you could feel the energy flow again. And it builds.
Yes, and I was going to get into that because, there's a lot of people out there with the misconception that once you go to see a chiropractor, you go forever. And my point of view to them always is, it's not necessarily so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is a process that, healing, like anything, is a process.
Mm-hmm.
You cut your arm, it takes 2 weeks to heal that cut. Okay, you have 15 to 30 minutes of pleasure and you make a baby, it's 9 months to have that baby. There's nothing that is an instantaneous thing. So like you were mentioning, it can take days, weeks, months, and years for you to become aware that there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And typically it will not necessarily take nearly that long to first start feeling better. But the way I often explain it to people is, you come in, you're a house on fire. Do you want the one person from the fire department to show up and start working on you? Or are you looking for the whole entire fire department? If it's really bad, second alarm, third alarm, you get everybody in to put that fire out as quickly as you possibly can. So in the beginning, we call that relief care, and that generally means a greater frequency of care. And then what we start to do is we start to transition the average person from crisis intervention to something that is more restorative in nature. Because if you're a house and you're on fire and half of you burns out, like you see, pictures of homes, do you move back into that house, or do you spend some time repairing it?
Yeah.
And once it's repaired, do you let it go into a state of disrepair, or do you have to put some time and energy to maintaining that? Like you said, a car that goes into a body shop, car gets into a traumatic accident, boom. Or the car is just worn and torn over time. Acorns drop, a rock gets kicked up. Okay, you back into another car, or you back into a fire hydrant. These little dings and bumps. Yeah, I can live with it. But over time, it takes its toll. So do you maintain the car, okay, or maintain the house? So, at a level, you have adopted the mentality of a little bit of everything. Not necessarily over a long whole period of time, but in snippets. On the house on fire right now. I know Dr. Jeff is going to put it out. He is going to put it back together, reconstruct as best we can, depending on what's there on the underneath lying structure. Okay, I know some of what your inside look like. Okay, it is definitely something that says the inside has some parts, not all, but some parts that show 83 years. You have other parts that look like you did when you were 17. Okay, and the outside looks really exemplary. So you come in, we put out your fire, we tinker what we got to tinker to get it rebuilt, and then either we help you maintain it, or you know what you should be doing to maintain it. And then if life gets in the way, it gets in the way, and stuff sometimes gets, for no wrong or right reasons, stuff that should be doing to maintain gets put off. And then and you're back. So again, it would be great for you to comment on consistency and regularity with the things that you do that keep you healthy, and how to prioritize that.
Getting down to the mechanics of it, I get up in the morning, brush my teeth, but the very first thing I do after that is to meditate, pray, and I'll come back to praying and reading some scriptures. But I do that as creating a set point for the day. And when it comes to prayer, I don't pray for anything. Oh, God, give me this, God, give me... My prayers are out of thanksgiving for everything that I have in my life. That type of an attitude, I think, is important for people, because there's so much around us, so much abundance that we have in our lives that goes unrecognized and unappreciated, because the focus is on, for so many people, on what they don't have and what they pray for. So I don't do that. I pray for, and I thank are created for everything that I have in my life. So, that's the very first thing that I do. And sometimes I'll have a cup of coffee, sometimes I'll have green tea. Kathleen and I'll sit in the morning, we'll chat and enjoy each other's company, take our dog for a walk. That's kind of like the morning routine. And then I'll do research. I've been learning how to use AI, and it's absolutely amazing. And I'm incorporating that into my business. And I work on designing programs for business people so they can actually have a career and a lifestyle they're proud of and love. So I provide them with those tools. And just in doing that, I become energized. And I create some of the things that are very unorthodox. I'll ask, I've asked thousands of business owners, what is your most important asset? And I typically hear, well, it's my client base, it's my products, it's our reputation. And all of that is really good. But they miss the point that their most important asset is their health first. Because if they're not healthy, they're not going to be able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Couldn't say it any better.
Yeah, and then the second thing is to live within your budget. Don't drive yourself into unnecessary debt that you can't enjoy every day. And the third one is not really the third one, it's the first one. And that is your most important asset is time, because it comes, goes, and never comes back.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if a person is spending a moment of that precious asset worrying about tomorrow, thinking about last year or whatever, they're burning up an asset that could be contributed to the quality of their life and other people. So that's kind of the thing that I do. And then sometime in the afternoon I'll go down into the media room, and doesn't matter what I put on, I'll fall asleep within 5 or 10 minutes, and I set the alarm so I can go back to do what I want to do. That's it. I'm fortunate I work from home, and I'm not retired. I feel that if you don't have a purpose, why hang around?
Exactly. Exactly. Talking about never retiring. I was in chiropractic school, and there was a gentleman in my class. His name was Al, fortuitously. And Al was a retired attorney. Ironically, he had, he was from Texas. He had this great Texas accent. Hanging around with Al was just like hanging around with you.
Mm-hmm. Must be the name.
Exactly. You don't know exactly what's going to come out, but it's going to be something that's highly insightful, because this was a man that you looked at him and he looked like a scarecrow. Very thin, white hair, wrinkles, obviously I'm assuming because of being always out in the Texas sun. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he looked like if you blew on him, he was going to fall over. But you just knew by being around Al, there was a wisdom to this man. Mm-hmm. That he had an internal strength and an internal clock and an internal compass. That he knew exactly what he was going to do in life, and he was going to pursue his dreams to whatever end he needed to pursue them. Mm-hmm. The law firm that he worked with was actually the law firm that got Nixon into China. Okay, I thought that was pretty dang impressive. He, at 78 years old, has an experience with a chiropractor and decides he wants to go and be a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. So at 78 years old, he enrolls into chiropractic school. He graduates with me, at 82 years old. He and his wife, who was still a practicing nurse at the time, mm-hmm. When he was in school, she was doing her nursing thing out in Illinois. They relocate to Portland, Oregon. And he runs a chiropractic practice from 82 to 96 when he passed away. He worked 3 days a week serving humanity by adjusting people, mm-hmm. from 82 to 96.
That's
Okay.
wonderful.
Now the average person is out there going, I can't, I'm 59, I can't wait to get to 62 so I can retire. And I'm sitting there going, I work with a Christian mentor, and his thing was, Jeff, are you ever going to retire? And I said, I really don't know, because I have the example of Al, and yet I have the rest of the world pulling that you should get out and enjoy. But I love what I do. It's not work.
That's right.
I have a blast taking care of people and moving people into the right direction in their life, and adopting and helping them adapt a lifestyle that is more health oriented. So if Al can go to 96, there's no reason why I can't. But again, your point is that if you are called to serve, okay, retirement is playing a very small game, and it does not serve the world. Okay, and what's the big thing that I'm going to do with the world? Well, there's a great story out there that a man who was on his deathbed, and he was dying, and he was utterly depressed and bummed out because he is about to die and pass on to the other side, failing at what he thought he was called to do. And his thought that he was called to do was to change the world. And the world was not changed. And here he is on his deathbed. Nothing changed. But the concept of the story is that if he had changed himself enough, he would have influenced and changed first the members of his family, who then would have been changed enough to change their friends and ultimately more of their family as they grew and got married and started having a family themselves. Those changed people would have gone out and changed the community, would have eventually changed the county, to change the state, to change the country, to change the hemisphere, to change the world. But it never starts with what you are trying to do out there, but as Jesus said, you seek first the kingdom within and let that express from the inside out. Again, chiropractic concept, healing comes from above, down, from the inside out. And if we take that same concept to what is our purpose, not the purpose that I have for a life, but I think what you're trying to communicate to everybody is, what is my purpose for me? And it's not a selfish me. It is a me that then expands to influence others. So if you're on a plane and the plane is going down and the oxygen mask comes out, is your purpose to save everybody else? Or is your purpose first to save you and then in turn save others?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a great way to exercise change is to do it by example.
Right.
Instead of trying to change people. I had a coach many years ago, and he said, never invite yourself into somebody else's parade.
I like that. I like that.
He was is a very wise man, and I walked into his office. I had a 5 o'clock appointment with him on a Wednesday in Manhattan, and if I was a minute late, he wouldn't see me. And we were having a conversation one day, and I said, Ben, things are going, yeah. He goes, oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And I said, what? He said, because, he said, it's an opportunity for you. And then I went in and I went, oh, things are really going great. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Why? Because there are no more opportunities. And to me, I just enjoy my life. I'll go into the supermarket and I'll see one of those ladies in the carts, I go, hey, I saw you on aisle 4. You keep speeding, I'm going to give you a ticket. And just that smile that I get changes the entire atmosphere for her, for me, for the next person that she meets.
Absolutely.
The guy that wants to get in front of me in the car, in his car, so he gets one car length ahead of me. Somebody else gets upset by that. I go, okay, he's going to get to where he's going one car length sooner. And then Kathleen will laugh, say, you're crazy. But that's it, seeing the beauty in life every day, seeing the fun, seeing the joy, it makes such a difference for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, nothing has any meaning than the meaning you choose to give it. So
Mm-hmm.
you can look at a child and go, a screaming kid, oh my God, I got a headache. Can somebody just stop that child? Or you can look at the child and go, this kid being a kid, they're free. And
Yeah.
you can appreciate the beauty of them being them. And you can sit there and go, you know, I wish I was still like that. Because like you said, a little baby, you know, they are so close to having been born. And my grandson Vin, when he was born, my daughter lost her husband and they moved in with us. She was 5 months pregnant, and then we had Vincent, and Vincent was with us for basically a little over 2 years before they moved out on their own. And you could just sense a spirit about Vin that was different. Okay, because this was a kid that he had the opportunity to be with him one time in church, and he is just looking up, and you got the sense that he was seeing angels or God or some kind of spirit. Now his dad passed away, you know, 4 months before he was born. Was his dad in spirit visiting and looking down on Vin? But he was just so connected to what was there. You know, there's that expression or a story in one of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books where there's a 5-year-old that goes up and leans over into the crib. Can you tell me what God sounds like? I'm starting to forget.
Wow.
Okay, so as we grow and mature, reading a book now called The Genius of Jesus, and the thing gentleman points out who wrote the book, that at the age of 5, 98% of the human species tests as genius. And by the time that you're 12, that drops to 50%. By the time you are 30, it's down to 2%. And how we beat genius out of us by conforming to the norms of the world. And so for all these little kids that are ADHD oriented and they're just bouncing here and bouncing there and experiencing all the things that are in the world to experience, we tend to think of them as they're uncontrollable. But there's something, because Vin does have ADHD and he's rather high on that. I did some research on it, and one of the theories is that it's the ADHD people that literally kept the human species in existence, because they observed things that other people did not.
That's interesting.
Okay, the early changes of the leaves, the drying of the pattern, the cloud over the horizon that meant the herds were on the move, and we had to move to follow them if we were going to stay alive. And it's only been the last 50 years that ADHD has become one of these stigmatisms that they don't fit into the norms. And we're trying to maybe beat that creativity or that observation of power that will keep us here on the planet for generations and millennium to come. And we think we're doing them a service by taking that out of them. So again, it's conforming and losing our genius along the way, and being able to see all of those things that make the world such a great place.
That's interesting.
So I've got to tell you, Al, again, the reason why I wanted to do this with you is because you bring a dimension that I think is going to enthrall and entrap an audience and help impart wisdom to them to help make a difference in their lives. I can't thank you enough for the time that you have given us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Truly count this as a gift and a blessing for myself.
And for me as
for
well.
David. People get together and interact because you have something to share for us and we have something to share for you. And it's a mutual benefit. You know, it's a symbiotic relationship that goes well, and I'm hoping the audience will see that. So is there anything else? Now, again, you may be busy enough that you don't want to take on any new business, but you know, for anybody that is running their own business, for anybody that feels that if they were to reach out to you, would you feel comfortable letting people know how, if they have a question, they can reach you?
Sure. My email address is ateresi@teresiassociates.com.
You know, but again, you have such a wealth of life experience and as well as wisdom that really does go beyond what I think the average person accumulates, okay, or allows themselves to express. And you express it in such a calm, relaxed, reassuring, self-confident manner that I can't help but people will think that here's a guy at 84 years old, has it to the best of our ability, being human, as figured out as you can possibly have it figured out. And you are truly like the tree that blows in the wind, does not break, knows when to give. You know how to do the dance of life.
Yeah.
You know?
I just don't want to lose my leaves.
Well, you're doing a better job than this guy. Okay? But again, you have learned that when somebody is pushing, you know how to pull. And when somebody is pulling, you know how to push.
Well, thank you.
That is
I
truly
appreciate that.
a blessing, and not everybody has that gift and talent. And I feel fortunate that we had you here today to share
Well,
with us.
thank you. I'm glad that I'm here, and you're fantastic. You're an important part of my life. And what else can I say? But thank you.
You're so welcome, and again, thank you for the blessing. Now, this is Dr. Jeff Culbert. We are going to sign off now, but if you heard anything today from Al, not from me, because Al's the one with the gift. If you heard anything here today that moves and motivates you, please hit the like button, hit share, hit the bell, and please pass on some of Al's wisdom to incorporate it into your life. Share it with your spouse or your significant other. Pass it along to your children and your grandchildren, because it is the change that you make. There's an expression that I live my life by now. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So you have an opportunity and a blessing today from Al to incorporate his gift of wisdom, make a change in you, make a change in others. We make a change in the world. As Al said, it is subtle, but it's going to happen. It's like a gentle wave coming in and a gentle wave coming back. It's the ebb and flow of life. Engage in life, and I promise it will be better later on today, tomorrow, the next day, and at the end of the year, you're going to look at the changes that occurred in your life and you're going to go, I can't believe what's happened to me this year. Wait what happens next year. So thank you very much for your attendance today and your paying attention to us. Hopefully you lasted the whole hour and 16 minutes, and we will be seeing you again in another video real soon. Thanks for your attention. You guys have a great day.